Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Fintech Fridays. I'm Brian View, still Brian View, President and COO of FinLocker. Really, really excited about our guest today, Mike Faraci.
Faraci. You're so close. You're almost
Faraci.
Yeah.
Mike Faraci, founder of Hit the Red Button.
HitTheRedButton.com. Yeah, officially Red Button Media, but the
Red Button Media.
a little catchier than that. So yeah,
I love it. I love it. It's action-oriented branding. I love it.
Yeah.
So, Mike, I learned about you, 2.5, 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. You were creating at the time awesome first-time homebuyer content. Something that's been much needed. I think you were at the forefront of this thing, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And you created a ton of awesome content pointed to first-time homebuyers. And so I started following you, and we started kind of creating a virtual relationship through LinkedIn and other platforms.
Yes. We've been very online. We've been very, very internet friendly.
That's right. Yeah. No swipes either way, by the way, just saying.
Whatever the good direction is, that's which way it would go.
Exactly. And so been a big fan of, kind of your skill set and the content. You've been at a couple places along the way. Yep. And then really recently, this is like hot off the presses, you founded your own media company.
As we record this, it launched less than 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
It's so cool. And by the way, I am a client as of this week. So
I don't want this going to your head or anything, but you're actually technically client number one of Red Button Media.
All right.
You were the first service agreement that has come back fully executed. I have a couple more out and a couple more interested, but you were the first one to pull the trigger and go down the rabbit hole with me. So I do appreciate that.
Well, not only did we sign a contract, but we actually have some product that you already delivered for us. So we're
absolutely
super excited. So that, a lot's been going on with you and I quickly here in the last couple of weeks. And I thought it would be awesome to come on and share a little bit about what you're doing now.
Yeah.
But I think the service you provide is going to be super useful for the everyday, person. And we'll just kind of stay in mortgage for now. So for the everyday loan officer who wants to, create content that is what I would call agency level content.
I refer to it as professional grade. So the tagline for the company that we're going with right now is professional grade video content for budgets of all sizes. And I do mean that. And when we get into a little more discussion about content for first-time homebuyers and stuff, I do want to talk about underserved markets. And I feel like there's a huge one when it comes to video content right now.
Yes.
Which is kind of the reason that I booted this whole thing up. So
love it.
Let me know where you want me to start. I'm not going to go back to birth or anything like that. But the only thing I've been doing longer than creating content is mortgage and real estate. So
let's start.
Almost 19 years in that industry.
So let's start. When the beard started to come into play. How you got in the business, kind of what you've done in the business, and then that'll take us into this wonderful endeavor you're doing now.
Sure. So I started a mortgage in 2005 for a subprime lender called Seabreeze Financial. I got out of selling cars and into selling subprime loans. That was when somebody came in to do a training class about the pay option arm, telling us how great it was. And it just made me go, how's that good for people? But I was one of the only people who thought that it wasn't that great for people because everybody else just saw huge commission checks.
Right.
Anyways, that was a short-lived life at that company. And then I moved on to Paramount Residential Mortgage Group, PRMG, which you're probably familiar with.
Love those guys.
I was wholesale account executive number 5 when they were booting up their wholesale division. And to let you know how much more than I could chew that I was biting off, this was my first job in wholesale. I was learning as I went. It was 2006, 2007. And my territory was Orange County, California. And if anybody out there doesn't know, that was kind of the mortgage mecca of the nation at the time.
I was going to say the world.
for one person to try to cover all that territory was impossible, but it was definitely a trial by fire. I learned a lot. Nearing the Great Recession, I made a transition from wholesale actually into secondary and capital markets. And I worked in capital markets and corporate education for a lot of years. I designed a new hire onboarding training program for them and dubbed it PRMG University. They've since grown it and expanded it in radical ways. And it's phenomenal to see them grow all of that and still be invested in education. But it started as a way to kind of onboard subprime loan officers and account executives who really didn't know prime product after all the subprime stuff went away, and kind of educate people so you weren't just kind of tossing them to the sharks and expecting them to swim. That's kind of when the content creation started. That was more of a public speaking and presentation kind of creation stuff, but it wasn't, the internet wasn't at a place to where we were sharing a whole lot in that way yet.
Right.
Quite a few years later, actually about 10 to 12 years ago, as of now, I got into photography. And I was lucky enough to get into photography where at the time, prosumer, not necessarily consumer entry-level DSLR cameras, but kind of not super professional grade, but the prosumer ones started coming with a record function or a video function. And that's kind of when the world changed in terms of filming and creating video. So in addition to taking still photographs in my free time, just as a passion, I started playing around with that infamous red button that so many people are trying to learn how to press right now so they can make more video. And I quickly learned that the mortgage industry really needed education.
Yeah.
And video was a great way to provide that. So through my years, I transitioned, I moved from PRMG. I worked at Lennox Financial for a few years. I worked at AFN for quite a few more years than that, American Financial Network.
Yep.
And all along, my specialty was capital markets and product. So I was just trying to create product explainer videos. So that way, loan officers and account executives wouldn't be left out in the cold with no information. But when something was rolled out, they wouldn't just get a webinar, but they would get a nice, half decently produced video walking them through the pluses and minuses of that program and how they might be able to use it in their day-to-day client networking and selling. And that's just kind of a thing that kept on keeping me on.
Right.
It was just, it wasn't that the objective changed. It was the product that I was educating on changed. So when non-QM started becoming more popular, I started doing a lot of education around non-QM. And then when you found me, when we first connected, was probably end of 2020, beginning of 2021, when I started working over at homebuyer.com.
Yeah.
Heading up all of their content and education. And I was whole hog into creating as much video and educational content as I possibly could for first-time home buyers. Because thinking back, as we think about it right now, first-time home buyers, lots of loan officers and real estate agents are focused on servicing first-time home buyers. Want to get those?
Not so much back then.
No, back in 2020, 2021, we're mid-pandemic, interest rates are low, and every loan officer in the business is literally rolling out of bed and falling into a pile of refinances. So who cares about first-time home buyers with their lower average loan amounts and all that stuff? So that's what Dan actually founded homebuyer.com based on, serving that underserved market. And I loved that mission. And that's why I signed on to do that with them. And I feel like we did a really good job of creating content. We built a YouTube channel with a pretty good subscribership, a pretty good following. We've gotten quite a few views on a lot of those videos. And a lot of it was covering potential things that were proposed by the current administration, things as they did or did not work their way through Congress, $15,000 home buyer.
Yeah, I remember that one.
All the stuff that hasn't come to fruition, but we were the main place that was covering that, and not just publishing the headline as soon as it hit, but ongoing coverage of those things and relating them specifically to first-time home buyers. It was a really good niche in the market.
Yeah.
Since then, I transitioned back to American Financial Network. I'm a video marketing leader for them now, and I just kept hearing requests from my talks with the marketing department. And AFN's a great company. They have a nationwide network of branches, and it's very entrepreneurial. They very much encourage those branches to build their own business and empower them to not necessarily drink the Kool-Aid, but if you have something going on and it's successful and you want to bring it over to our platform, you can bring it to our platform, but keep being successful your way.
Yeah.
If you have your own brand, we can set you up as a DBA, like all the stuff that you want to hear from an entrepreneurial company like that. And the poor marketing department, they do such a great job, but they get inundated with requests for video. But why are people requesting video when you can make it yourself? Like, everybody has one of these. The best camera in the world is the one that you have with you. Why aren't people making more video? Well, in 2023, of course, it's never been easier to make a video.
Right.
But if you want a professional grade, high quality video to go out to your social networks or on your website for educational purposes, or wherever the heck it is that you want to distribute it, maybe you just want to toss it into your YouTube channel as a library so you can refer people back to it as people ask you the question that you've already answered with a nicely produced video. You still have to produce it.
Yeah.
You have to have a concept. You have to think of an idea. You have to figure out how you want to deliver that message. You should probably tweak it and hone it so you're not using too many words and you're not droning on for too long.
Yeah.
And then after you stop recording, then what do? Do you just post it? Well, no. All the really popular videos on Instagram and Facebook and all of that fun stuff, they have all these engaging captions that are popping up on the screen with highlighted keywords. Maybe there's branding that have been added, or people have shorter attention spans than they used to when they're scrolling through their social media feeds. So they want you to chop those videos down. They don't necessarily want to sit through you taking that breath before you get to the next word. So an edit needs to be done. The captions need to be made. That edit needs to be exported. Maybe some background music needs to be added. And all that needs to be done on your phone or transferred to your computer, done on the computer, transferred back to your phone so you can post it on social media. And then the posting, what platform do you post it on? Do you post it on all platforms? Like, you need a strategy for that stuff. So while it's never been easier to create a video, it's still not the most user-friendly process in the world. And busy mortgage and real estate professionals just don't have the time to do that consistently. And that's where I saw my underserved market. These smaller, I don't want to say smaller because nobody wants to think of themselves as small, but in the grand context of things, you as a loan originator, you as a branch manager, you're not Coca-Cola, you're not Apple. You know what I mean? We're talking about smaller teams, businesses that don't have big, huge corporate marketing budgets to work with. And I think I sent it to you, the research that I did not too long ago. I was looking at, there's a website called Wise Owl, and they do like animated explainer videos, you know, little clip art 2D animations that are all sorts of popular right now with the boppy song in the background, explaining whatever product it is. They did a study to see how much an animated 60-second explainer video would cost just for any given company, 60 seconds. They got 116 quotes from 116 companies. And then they actually did the right thing. And they discounted the bottom 5% and top 5% so they could actually get a decent look at how much this cost. And the median price quote for a 60-second explainer video was $5,400.
Right.
One video.
Yeah.
They did the same thing for a 30-second long app preview video. Somewhat like what we're doing, but this would be used more to kind of preview the application when you view it in the App Store. Do I want to download this? Something like that. Average price quote for a 30-second app explainer video was just over $2,500. One video.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, all my poor mortgage and real estate professionals who don't have the time to create this video on their own have absolutely nowhere to go for professional grade video services, because traditional agencies are charging astronomical amounts, or they're stuck in the mindset that the only way that you can get good video is to send out a full camera crew to somebody's office and have a full day of recording for it.
Right.
And that's just not the case anymore, because that's not what people are trying to consume on social media. People want to get to know you. People want authentic video. They want stuff that's shot on a phone or a camera that doesn't cost $40,000. They want something that's going to have some ums and ahs in it, something that's not super scripted, because an overproduced piece of content can just kind of seem like an advertisement,
right,
and people aren't going to be able to connect with that. So I founded Red Button Media to try to give people an easier way and a much more affordable way to get a constant flow of monthly content to post to all of their feeds. But this content will be a little more business oriented, so they can talk about what they know, so they can talk about who they are. It's not necessarily the, hey, I'm trying this new coffee house latte, let's look at this, which is great content that you should also be posting, because that's how people are going to get to know you and relate with you. That's how you build your personal brand. Those posts are super valuable. But this is a great way to pepper in some leveled up professional content, kind of remind everybody what you do and what you're there for professionally. And you don't have to worry about shooting it yourself. You don't have to worry about editing it. You don't have to worry about adding the captions and all of that stuff. You have a call with me.
Yeah, I love it.
We chat about you and your business for a little while. And then I take that and I'll create your shorts for you and just provide them back to you. And all you got to do is post them whenever you want, wherever you want to.
Yeah, it's like it's this conversation that you and I are having right now.
Exactly.
Hit the red button. I'm going to keep saying
you need to give me a copy of this so I can create my own shorts from it. I eat my own dog food. That's how this is. Yeah.
I love it. So great. And I've been the face of FinLocker,
mm-hmm.
good, bad, or ugly, probably more ugly than good or bad. And I've been doing most of it myself with this or the camera up here. And it looks like it's, produced by Brian by himself. And in the short time that you and I have been kind of getting together on this project for FinLocker,
mm-hmm.
just the noticeable difference. It's the same message. It's the same information that I would have done in my product demos.
Yeah.
But a great example is, I want to share this, especially for people that are interested in not just talking about themselves, but talking about a product. And you kind of gave me some schooling on this.
A product or a brand for that matter.
Sure. Yeah, or a brand. Yeah. I had created a couple, little explainer videos for our FinLocker app. And, the one example that we worked through, I think I recorded a 1:50 explainer, which in my mind, that's pretty short. And I covered a lot of stuff here, which I did. You were able to take that 1:50, use my footage that I created on the demo app, right?
Yep.
And then take all the words that I said in a 1:50, you compressed it down in such a concise manner. I think it's like a 37-second video. And then using the captioning on the screens, the highlighters. Good example. I would say, go down to the lower right of the app and click the readiness button. Well, you used arrows and circles and call outs.
Absolutely.
We don't have to talk about that. It's there. So
yes,
there's so much value. And I would have thought that it would have cost me $5,400 to create those videos, because I had priced this out before. And so I think what you've set up, Mike, and what you've created is you're probably going to need to, think about how to get some help, because there's a lot of people that I think are going to be super interested in this model.
I look forward to having that problem very soon. It's one of those things. It's at the end of the day, it's a means to an end. This is a way for me to do what I actually love to do.
Right.
I've done mortgage and real estate so long because I'm good at it, not necessarily because I love it. This is what I love.
Yeah.
I love creating content to help people build their personal brands or their company brands. And when it comes to that stuff, you got to deliver your message in as short of amount of time as possible. People are goldfish. Goldfish, famously, 8-second attention span, right? That's it. Well, a recent study that was just done shows that when people enter the lower capacity mental state that we do enter in the doom scroll of social media, so to speak, you have 9 seconds to grab somebody's attention with video or they're on to the next thing. We're basically dealing with the goldfish mentality here. So if you're not front loading with hooks, or if you're not coming straight out and getting to the point, there's a very famous saying in video where it comes to when it comes to conveying an idea, and it's don't bury the lead, LEDE. And it's never been more important. But I don't like avoidance as an action item. I like conveying things to do. So I've moved into lead, LEAD, with the LEDE. Lead with the lead. And even if it doesn't make a whole lot of sense up front, if you're a mortgage person talking about the new FHA MIP reduction that just happened a couple of days ago as we record this, lead heavy with, hey, the federal government just saved you a ton of money on your mortgage. I'm going to show you how in 30 seconds.
There you go.
Then say, oh, okay, well, the Federal Housing Finance Administration has lowered the MIP by 30 basis points. And that means that if you're looking at a loan amount of this, and then you can get into some math and stuff like that. But if you're not leading heavy and being excited about the fact that, hey, you're paying less for a mortgage now, then what reason does somebody have to stick around and watch the rest of your message?
Yeah. It's such great advice. And
those are things that you can learn on your own, or learn through research, or learn through good content coaching. That's another service that we offer. It's just, if somebody wants a more hands-off approach and they want to create their own video, but they want a little bit of help with strategy and what they can do better and maybe how to improve upon last month's content, you can do some content coaching. If there's larger brands out there, which there are, I work with a couple of them, who just don't want to be in front of the camera at all, but they want to get their brand message out there. They want to build brand and things like that. And they want to hire a company spokesperson, then we can help them out with some brand advocacy and just give them some videos on a silver platter, so to speak, to help them build their brand. They just got to send me a little bit of merch so I can sport their logo when we do these videos, right?
That's right.
I literally have a hoodie and a hat right over here for a video that I'm recording as soon as we're off of this. I'll give a little shout out to Path and Post Real Estate, my friends. Out of Atlanta, Georgia. So
all right,
I'm doing a purchase contingency explainer video for them later today, just to help them. And they're using stuff like this. Obviously, it's great to promote on socials and it's great to put up on the YouTube, but they're a real estate brokerage with a couple dozen agents and growing. And they're also using this to educate their staff. Because everybody is getting into the business fresh and new every day. And the greener professionals out there aren't going to have that type of information. And it's always a good place to go to get it.
I love it. We're bumping up on our time, but one of the things that I took away from our engagement and what we're working on together was, I can spend a minute and create a single recording of the FinLocker app or a component of it, deliver it to you, and you bring back to me 3 different versions of that same work that I put into it. One that can be used inside of my app as an explainer video for a particular tool or component, super useful. Another that could be used externally for B2B marketing to talk to loan officers and real estate professionals about why they should engage with FinLocker because of these great tools. And the third is for the enterprise client of FinLocker that wants to do a B2C message to reach and assist consumers and get them into their ecosystem. And so, it's work. What do they say? Work smarter, not harder.
That's right.
In the past, I would have tried to create 3 separate pieces of content to do that. And so I think there's just so many things that can be done. People have to want to get into the space. They got to want to hit the button.
Yep.
They got to be willing to hit the button. But you are, I think you're bringing a need. You're scratching an itch in the business for sure. I'm just trying to fill gaps. I want to fill gaps for underserved. For an underserved client base that has been essentially priced out by large media agencies. Yeah.
I feel like I can do that and be successful on my own and make a whole lot of other people successful in their own right. And when it comes to posting video on social media and making video, this is not for lead generation. This is not a magic wand that you wave and you put up a couple of videos and the leads come flooding in. This is about building brand. And this is always a distinction that I like to make, because it's super important to understand that brand building is the apex. Building your brand is the end game, because when your brand's content is being well received by a viewership base, you will continue to get the transactions, not sales, transactions. There's a difference. You will continue to get your transactions, but you're not going to have to sell so much.
Right.
Because your content has been building a relationship with that person over time. You may never have met them. You may not know that they exist, but they know you. And because you've been providing value, they trust you. So when it comes to transaction time, they're not comparing you against anybody else. They've already made their choice. They know they're using you for this transaction. And then you just get to focus on serving your client the way that you want to. You don't have to worry about selling them first.
So great. That's a good one to hit the close button on, Mike. Thanks so much for joining today.
Thank you, Brian. I appreciate it.
Love learning about this medium and what you all are up to. Looking forward to the success of Red Button Media. Thanks everybody I bet. Thanks everybody else for joining this week's edition of FinTech Fridays. We'll see you next Friday.
Thanks.